How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. This is Stop Drinking Alcohol 69. I got a question this week about alcohol-free beers and whether it's a good idea to drink when you stop drinking. I don't do it. I don't do it after a year and a half. I had a taste of an alcohol beer shandy a while ago, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like the taste of it. I didn't like where it brought me in my head, and no, it wasn't for me at all. I love just water at the moment, or fresh orange juice, or whatever takes your fancy. But for me, it's I think it's almost like you're dragging out the inevitable. You're sort of tormenting yourself. My dad does it all the time, and he doesn't drink, but he still has the alcohol-free beer. And I know he feels guilty about doing it in front of me because I drink water. And I say to him, look, if that's what you're going to do, then there's no harm in it. Absolutely. But if you get your head around the whole alcohol thing, and you understand that it's all brainwashing bullshit, then why do you want to drink alcohol-free beer? The taste is not that great, when you think about it. Like I say, I used to always drink for the drunkenness. I drank to get drunk. So why would I all of a sudden start to drink beer that wasn't getting me drunk? Because your brain is waiting for the drunkenness. The topic I wanted to talk about really this week was shame, and why we feel ashamed when we quit drinking. And a lot of that's to do with the society that we live in. I mean, it's the only drug that you can quit, that you can get off, where people assume that your problems start then. Well, you didn't have a problem before, but now you've got a problem. So, and I don't understand that. That's just the way it's all set up. And I hate that. It's in the beginning. I was always, when somebody said to me, well, what do you mean you don't drink? And I'd be trying to make up excuses, and trying to say, well, I didn't really want to tell people that I had, I gave up because I was drinking too much. I was drinking, so much that it was starting to interfere with my health. I mean, it's none of their business for a start, but I felt like I had to come up with an excuse. And you don't, now I just say I don't drink, period, and when people, if I really want to stop people from prying anymore, I just say, I've read too many books, and if people still insist on pursuing that line, then you can start, it opens them up then for all the shit that you can tell them about how much alcohol does damage to the body. And once people get to that stage and they're prying that much into your life, I think they deserve to hear all the bad shit that you can tell them. In reality, you're the one that should have immense pride in what you're doing. Not only are you getting alcohol out of your life, this poison out of your life that you're not drinking anymore, that you're not putting into your body and poisoning your system and reducing your lifespan and affecting your overall health in life. But you're also uncluttering your mind from the bullshit that alcohol drinking is normal. Like I say, I love sitting there now and patting myself on the shoulder, in my head, of course, when I'm sat at the bar, thinking, when I watch other people just drinking this slop, drinking this liquid with foamy liquid, that I used to think was such an integral part of my life, and that's gone now. I don't have that anymore, and when I'm sat there watching other people doing it, it gives me a tremendous sense of personal pride that I've managed to not only to stop doing it, but to stop thinking about it in terms of like a Homer Simpson sort of a feel, where I think it's something special and something that I'm missing out on. When I sip I often pour a glass of wine for my partner, and sometimes I'll have a sniff of it, and just to sort of get my head around the smell, to remind myself what it is, and just that vinegary smell, it could be just cheap wine, but I know it's not. I mean, that wine smell is not pleasant. All that stuff comes down to your thinking. It's how you think about different things. I mean, for instance, now I get really narky and pissed off if I don't get out walking every day. If I take off 1 or 2 days, then it's sort of, I can really feel it in my system. I get lethargic. I feel like I've got no energy for anything. For whatever reason, it's just my brain doesn't work the same. I can't think straight. Not to the same level where I'm out. And the longer I take from walking, if I don't go out walking for a few days, then the worse that seems to get. My motivation sort of sinks a little bit, and I don't really want to get on with work. I want to sit down more and watch pointless TV programs and do stuff like that. Whereas if I get out in the morning, it sort of boosts me for the entire day. It gives me the motivation to do the things that I want to do. It sort of brings up my levels of oxygen or whatever it is that happens inside the body. I mean, I can't explain it, why it does that. I just know that it happens. I mean, I'm not really interested in finding out the ins and outs of what happens inside your body when I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. Knowing something doesn't, it's not going to alter it. It's the fact that when you do go out and you do stuff like this, that for me, walking produces the end result, and that's the end result is all I care about. Another reason why people are ashamed or feel shame is because of other people, because they're afraid of what other people think about them, and I say, fuck other people, if people are around you and making you feel shameful, even if it's your family, then it's them that should be ashamed. Generally, it's not other people that are pushing this on you, it's you thinking about what other people are thinking. So you're sort of projecting your fears onto other people, and you're thinking, well, they're thinking this about me, or they're thinking that about me. And in general, they're not. We're not psychic mind readers, and we can't really tell what other people are talking about. I mean, I'm talking about this more in the podcast this week about fears. So in this instance, when we're talking about other people and fear of other people, I think the shame is completely unjustified. It's there's nobody out there that can do should be without shame for something that they're doing wrong. If that's the case, if you're thinking about your drinking as a condition where you feel embarrassed about it, that you've done stuff in the past, and fair enough. I've done some right stupid stuff, and stuff that is borderline stupid and crazy, stuff that is borderline stupid and illegal. I've done stuff that is illegal. I think definitely a source of shame for me is excuse me, drinking and getting behind the wheel of a car. When nobody's stupid these days. You get into a 2-ton vehicle, in my case, and taking it down the road, even though whatever speed I'm doing, it makes no difference. It's just the wrong thing to do because of the risk involved to innocent people. In my past, something that I did feel shamed about at the time, and I don't feel anymore because it's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. Then there's people that are sort of ashamed because they have an addiction. And let me tell you that there's plenty of people out there that have got addictions of one sort or another. I mean, all an addiction is like a super habit sort of thing. It's a habit that has gone beyond a certain level and you've gone up a notch. And whether that's a drug addiction, like alcohol, drinking too much alcohol, or heroin, or whatever. There's also addictions with food. I mean, we all know that there's people who just can't stop eating. And it's not that they can't stop eating, it's they can't stop eating the wrong types of food. Obese people, overweight people don't get overweight by eating healthy food. They get overweight by eating shit, eating McDonald's and pizzas and, whatever, high food, high fat, or high sugar, high fat foods. And that's where the addiction is, so they just can't stop. There's people that I know who are addicted to running, and they do sort of all these marathons, and they take it to the extreme, even through injury. My brother is terrible for it, and I understand where he's coming from. Like I say, if I don't get out walking every morning, it affects my whole mind and body. It affects the way I go through the day. It affects my experience of the day. So I get it. My brother is the same with running. He needs to get out running every morning. Now he's 2 years older than me, and he's not as heavy. He's not as tall as me, so he doesn't have the same impact. But he still has the impact, and he'll try and run through injuries and just make the injuries worse on himself in the long run. And then he can't run for, he'll go to the doctor, and the doctor will say, well, you've got to stop running for a couple of months. The worst case scenario last year, or the worst case last year, was where he couldn't run for, I think it was nearly 9 months. He tried to go back after 6 months, and he sort of had a setback then. And I say to him, well, why don't you try cycling or something like that? And he says, it's just not my thing. I get it, but there is going to come a time when he can't do it anymore. But anyway, different thing. Addictions, there's people that are addicted to watching TV. Back in Ireland, I knew loads of people who were addicted to soap operas. So there was maybe, I can't remember now, 5, 6, 7 soap operas on every day from the afternoon till the evening. So the soap operas would start about 5 o'clock. You get the Australian ones starting at 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. The English ones would start, and there was an Irish one. So there was 2 or 3 English ones, I think, an Irish one, and 2 or 3 Australian ones, I think so. Anyway, there's a big chunk of time every night, and each soap opera ends with a cliffhanger, so you have to watch the next day. So it was this cycle of just addicted to going back, wasting so many hours in the evening watching these bloody things, and it's a harmless, in the sense of it's not causing you any physical difficulties, but for me it's just a time suck. There's so much time involved in watching that kind of thing. I mean, I get the same when I watch a good series. I tend to watch, I don't like watching one episode every week. I'll wait until the series comes out, and I'll get download the box set, download the whole series. And it's deadly because sometimes I just get so wrapped up in this fantasy world that I spend, I'll just watch one more, Jesus, that was a good cliffhanger, I'll watch the next one, and before you know it, the day's gone and there's no work done. Now I've stopped watching them unless I want to take a day off and I just want to chill and don't want to do anything, I'm not going out walking, I'm not working, I'm just basically going to lie on the couch and watch TV. And I think that's a good thing. I think you need to do stuff like that, just where you're letting everything wind down, your brain wind down every so often. But there's so many addictions. Another addiction to me is money. You get people that are just totally addicted to making money. It goes past the point where they can buy anything more. These super rich people have just bought everything that they can, and all it becomes to them then is figures in a bank account. And that is an addiction in itself. So I think it's a positive addiction in some ways, because if you use the money for you can use it like Bill Gates is using his money now, or there's other billionaires that have got to earn so much money that they start putting back in. Richard Branson is another one. But it's still an addiction, So from that perspective, I think, when you have a drink addiction, it's just it's on the same level, from one point of view, and it's nothing to be ashamed of from that point of view. Let's face it, when you drink, it's only one aspect of your life. It's only one thing that you're doing wrong. It might start taking over the rest of your life, but that's what addictions in general do. They start to seep into other areas of your life. Alcohol will eventually start to affect your relationships, and might start to affect your work and your bank balance and your health and all those other areas. But it's only when you really start getting into it, and that's the danger of drinking. But it's only one aspect of who you are. There's so many different facets to everyone's lives and personalities. Sometimes we define ourselves by the fact that we're heavy drinkers, or put the label of alcoholics onto ourselves and stuff. And what bullshit, It's like I say, it's a small area that is taking over. But once you get that out of your life, then the rest of you starts to come back up and blossom again. Starts to resurface from under all the under the beer. So either way, don't be ashamed of things. It's generally we cause ourselves to be ashamed, to have shame, and it doesn't do you any good. I think like any self-help, it has to be helping you. If it's not helping you, then don't try your best to get it out of your life. Like shame and fear and all those negative emotions are not doing anything for you. They're basically caused by your own thoughts. So if you change your own thoughts, you can turn the whole thing around. They're basically made by your own thoughts. So if they're made by your own thoughts, you can turn the whole thing around and unmake them. So that's it for this week. If you have any questions at all, give us a shout over on the website. Also, the podcast should be out on Thursday. I'll put it up on the website, and you can go over to iTunes and sign up for it. You'll get the audios for these videos as well on the podcast on iTunes. So the podcasts are going to be around an hour, I'm not sure, roughly. I mean, the last one was under an hour. This one's probably going to be under an hour, and some of them will go over, who knows. Anyway, it's just in their infancy, so put up with it and let me know what you think. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Onwards and upwards.